If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Sorry, my bad. Take a right, go down 2 blocks. I didn't know. Hi, thank you for tuning in to That's the Setup podcast. I'm your host, Sharika Duncan, a new author of the Setup novel. Check me out on Instagram at Sharika Duncan and on Facebook as Sharika Duncan Author or my website, sharikaduncan.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm your host, Sharika Duncan. Welcome to our episode tonight. And I have my co-host joining me, Miss Roland Mayhew. We're here. In your face 2019. And also I want to extend a great beginning welcome to a gentleman who is better known as a spiritual social scientist, Mr. BJ Flex. Yes, because I think that this is going to be so exciting. We're approaching this actual 2019 with a great representation of male and female dialogue. So, and I just want to tell you guys that over the holiday break, okay, when our family gets together and, we're having a nice family get together, food and fellowship, and then we have our drinks, pouring of the drinks for that New Year's celebration. And sometimes we don't know how to handle our beer and liquor at times. And it kind of like affects our train of thought. And it just led me into the discussion in terms of, have y'all ever had a family member that was overly excessively drinking heavy?
Be romantic or you want to be suave. You get to drinking and you all of a sudden, you're that guy or girl who just thinks they're super attractive or super smooth and you go over and talk to anybody. Or if you're already angry and you start drinking, next thing you know you're going to be fighting. Or if you're already sad and you start drinking, you're going to be crying and telling everybody your business. I just think it throws off all the inhibitions, whatever you're feeling at that moment, whatever's going on, it just, boom, let it all out at that time.
Yeah, and it's also something you can use to detach yourself from reality. Detach yourself from whatever it is that's happening. Drinking alcohol, it gives you a certain feeling. It's different from getting high, I can't explain the way, but it goes straight to your head and it kind of gives you a little buzz and it takes you where you think you want to be, away from whatever it is that you're trying to run away from.
So it's sort of like a simulation of what's real, but it's really a fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, like someone, you can't even walk, but yet for some reason you can get behind a car and crank it up and think that you can get back across town without killing yourself or anybody else, or like you can, you're incoherent, but somehow you still want to drive,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. And what you described to me brought to my mind when I went to South Carolina for Bike Week. And I saw all those motorcycles, like so many incidents, so many accidents of death, like people losing their life on a motorcycle because they decided to get drunk and get on a bike and just literally kill themselves. It was so horrific. Every corner, like almost every hour. I even saw someone in the middle of the street where a car was on top of a person. Just because they were intoxicated. They chose that. They felt like they could handle that stimulation and risk their life. You know.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that all drugs have in common. For some reason, you just forget about all the risk that they're taking and what it could do potentially to your life and the risk you putting yourself in. And I don't know if it's, you know what I'm saying, the not me mentality, I just want to happen to me, or you just don't even care if it do.
Right. I agree. How about, I'm so sorry, y'all. Come here. But how do you end up, huh?
Would you give your dog alcohol?
I wouldn't intentionally. I would not.
You offer your friend a drink when they come to your house?
Yeah. Cause that's a part of tradition in terms of being social. When we have a way of winding down and from our day, and the goal, it depends on if you indulge in alcohol or not, and you will offer someone a drink as opposed to drinking alone. It just depends on individually how much. Everyone has a threshold. Do you know your threshold? So
I don't even drink much, but I currently have 7 bottles of wine in the fridge in case they come over. It's for company, right? It's for social things, like you said.
Yeah. It's almost part of the culture. And it's interesting. So we got this culture, give drinks, people drinks. Then you got some cultures when people say, hey, what's up? Let's match one. You know what I'm saying? People smoke. You got the smoke culture. Then you got the culture for all these other drugs. And I wonder if it's not an individual problem because people are influenced a certain kind of way. What if it's just a cultural problem? Because in certain cultures where there is not allowed to have drinks and drugs and all these other things, is that even the problem of
And you mess up the vibe. It's like I don't want to be part of that vibe. It is a culture. It's like if you walk into a house and everybody's doing line, chances are they're expecting you to do it too. And if you don't do it, you don't look at too funny. Like, what you doing here? Oh, and just like that. And you don't want to be looked at weird. You don't want to feel like a misfit. So then you try it.
And that's peer pressure. But sometimes, unfortunately, it is given to you without your knowledge. Your drink could be, tampered with. You're indulging in something that you're not even aware of. And that's how certain people become a victim of drugs.
You know what? And that's something I always had a question about. So you talk about the culture thing, but then you just spin it another way, right? Where somebody gets something, their drink spiked or, some kind of other stuff, right? How do they know what it was for them to go back to it? That's always puzzling me. Like, yeah, they messed around and got them high on this, and now you strung out. I'm like, do they let them know that they got them strung out on that drug?
I believe, and I've never done it before, thank God that I've never, had that situation happen to me. But hypothetically, based on a feeling, based on a certain, like how we talked about this high and what it feels like, you get certain people tell you and describe to you how it makes them feel, and they go and chase for that feeling until they find it again. And that's how they find out what it was. How do you think? What do you think about that? And then they always chase for the next level of that,
I don't know. That be something I have to ponder, for real. But, and think about, preventing drugs and drug addiction, I would have to go back to the cultural thing. Yeah. So, Roland, what's your expertise again? She got us on hold?
No. I mean, I don't have a specific expertise. You know, I just have opinions based on experiences and conversations with other people, you know?
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, for various reasons, for pleasure, to cover up pain, for encouragement. Sometimes the drug and the alcohol alter their state of mind. You know, it's unfortunate that I have a church member whose ex-husband was killed last week by his brother. And it wasn't intentional, it's just that he relapsed again on drugs and he was attacking their mother. And the brother comes in to defend. And he was overpowering his brother, although he's smaller, but because he was so strong out. So I guess at the time the brother felt the only way to stop it was to stab him once, and he bled to death. Now, this guy is clearly, well, he's not clearly because you guys didn't know, but this guy's like in his late 50s when he passed away. But he had decades of on and off again drug use. And it really tore his family apart, tore his marriage, and, you know, it took him away from his children for a little while. Some people are addicted to it because for whatever reason, they cope with it, or it's something familiar. You know, when you're familiar with something, it's hard to stay away from it for too long. You know?
Yeah. Well, that is very. You know, the fact that maybe he didn't have nobody to reach out to, nobody to talk to, or vent, and it leads people to be however they become, whether it be suicidal, depressed, or, you know, they might have a manic state or whatever, and, you know, cause them to go to places like Appalachian Syndrome. You know what I'm saying? That is not always a bad thing for a person to know that, hey, I need to go get some help and go someplace where I can reach out and get some attention like I need to. Because a lot of people reach out to drugs when they, you know, feeling depressed and all these other issues going on. And, you know, that's a big thing. You know, some people get sad and depressed and get drunk and get crying. Some people smoke whatever kind of dope they smoke. You know, that's a big issue with drugs. You know, drugs are just not a party thing. People use drugs when they're depressed or got something going on emotionally.
Right, because they don't want to deal with the root cause.
Yeah.
It's very.
And you know, you are. They always tell me, you know, saying your friend. You show your friends, I'll show you your future. And we got to be careful about the environments that we place ourselves in, or that young people place people that you're around. You know, if you're around a certain kind of people and they're doing something that you know is not becoming of you, it's not beneficial of you. You, like I said, you got to know yourself to back out of that, because some people may be able to have this and be strong with it. It's a lot of high dollar earners that, you know, have drug issues. We see it in TV, you know, pop stars, doctors, lawyers, all these politicians, they have drug issues. But, you know, you got to be able to separate yourself out from that culture. So, I don't know. I know that's the main thing. Is either for you or not.
Well, the thing is, though, our culture is something that was given on us. Like we were dumped in an environment where it was already set as what we were going to become. You know, they placed temptation all around us based on our address. You know, if we can afford a certain, you know what I'm saying, neighborhood, then we may not have that much temptation around us. But yet majority of our culture are in poverty, to where you may see the corner store, you know, the cigarette place and all the little strip joints. I mean, we're always infiltrated with the weaknesses around us.
And also the cultures in our school. When you go to certain universities, the sororities and the fraternities, you know, it's part of that lifestyle. If you, for instance, you're in a marching band, there's a certain section of marching band that's all they do is drinking. If you want to be a part of that section, that's just what you do. It's, it's what you do. It gets introduced to us anywhere, literally anywhere. You could be anywhere and someone will introduce it to you because, like I said, misery loves company. They know drugs and alcohol ain't good, but for some reason they're going to introduce you to it. They're going to try to put you onto it. You know, they try to trick themselves and it makes them feel good. Knowing once they get off that high or they sober up, they know they feel like crap, you know? But yet, for some odd reason, they want to share that with you.
Yeah. I agree. And it does have a long-term effect on our bodies. I feel like it does.
Oh, it's obvious. You can look at somebody who's been smoking since they were 15 and now they're 35 versus somebody who hasn't been smoking.
If you can get out of it, get out of it. But if you can't, what do? You just got to be firm in who you are. I know, I don't want to try it, never try it, don't want to experience it and have a bad reaction. This ain't the way I want to go. So it's a no for me.
I mean, who can say it best? I totally agree with you, but the thing is, it's sort of like, I agree in terms of not knowing, the unknown. You know, everybody's body is different. We react to things differently. Also, too, you know, you see your future. Like you have plans. Like I have plans to see certain things flourish. So I can't indulge in that because there's a possibility that I would like it and get hooked. I don't want to be that person on the street. I don't want to disappoint. I want to, you know, uplift people. I want to be, you know, a champion. You know, there's so many aspirations that I have that outweigh the bad. So, you know, that's why I would never consider that, you know, or actually I haven't been in that position to where that type of, you know, like drugs were in my presence.
Well, break yourself, Sharika, because as you gain fame or whatever it is, because, you know, you're going to be out there. You know, you wrote a book. You're going to be invited to certain places where it's going to be uncomfortable. It's different for you.
Mm-hmm.
It happens throughout life at any stage, you know? Mm-hmm. So I just hope that you just remain Sharika at the end of the day.
Yeah. Because, you know, all I have is to just look at the movies and see the different, you know, make-believe scenarios play out. But in terms of, you know, I know I will, you know, I've always been a strong-willed person. So, again, you got to know who you are as an individual and stand for something, because you got to have a belief system. And with those values ahead of you, I believe that you would stick to your guns. And now there's you know, in terms of being taken advantage of, we have no control of, you know, things that happen to us that is out of our, you know, control. You know, say, God forbid, I'm kidnapped, and then, you know, who's to say what happens? You know, so those things are crucial. And you cannot overcome those obstacles. So it is what it is. You just got to stay firm. I saw this movie called Traffic, and I think Paula Patton was I don't know if you all seen that movie, but it was a human trafficking movie, and they were kidnapping women at a truck stop, putting them in the back of a semi trailer, and taking them to a nearby underground like tunnel and drugging them. You know, so they had them handcuffed, you know, tied up around the ankles. They couldn't go anywhere, and they were just drugging them. So they didn't have control of themselves. They were held captive. So it would have to be scenarios like that where it's unfortunate to be, you know, a victim of drugs and alcohol. And that's why my heart goes out to, like, people who have been in someone else's care, you know, foster care, any type of imprisonment, or even the hospitals too, and psychiatric facilities. It's very unfortunate that, you know, they're powerless in terms of the things that are given to them.
Yeah, I try not to cut you off, Sharika, but I think we need to clarify on that because with the foster system, you know, it ain't all bad because, you know, there's some people who go out and open up their homes for these people who are less fortunate to come in. Some foster homes and parents are great for people who need to be adopted. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of good stories that come out of that. So I want to make sure that people don't get caught up that, oh, yeah, you came out of foster home. It's great. Now, it can be bad, but there are some good things that come out of it. Yeah. That needs to be addressed, and there's some great people who open up their homes and become the foster parents, and some great children who take advantage of being able to have foster parents and end up being great people.
But as an adult, it's very tricky. You deal with people and you love them and you want the best for them, but at some point you have to be careful for yourself too, so you don't find yourself in an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and also too, it's those people that do drugs that somewhat have a normal lifestyle that don't really show that side. You know, it's sort of like, hey, I'm doing this. You know, you never witnessed them do it, but you know, they've had a good grip on their habit to where it's like if they verbally tell you that they want to get help, you can't force you can't force a grown person to go seek help. You got to wait on that moment of when they're, huh?
You got to wait till when they want to do it.
Yeah, when they want to do it.
And the only solution I think, well, there's probably more than one solution, but I think the number one I can think of, especially for kids and teenagers, is self-confidence and self-worth. Yeah. Because if you can do stuff to make people, okay, I'm worth this, I'm not going to do that because I'm speaking for me. It may not be the same. There was a point where I knew that, hey, you know, I'm worth this. I got this going for my life. I got that going. You know what I'm saying? I might play around, but I ain't going to do too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be out here taking these chances because I feel like my value, I'm worth more. And I had enough confidence to where I wasn't going to let a certain amount of a certain person or peer pressure influence me to do other things. So I think the solution to helping people be resistant to this drug influence or wanting to do it is, you know what I'm saying, self-esteem and self-worth. Because if you got enough self-esteem in yourself and believe in yourself, I don't care who come up, hey man, do this, do that. Man, you crazy. I'm not doing that, man. You know what they're going to do to me? You know what I'm risking, what I'm losing, how I'm going to devalue myself? No. You know, I think that to me, if you got somebody to believe in themselves enough and have enough value in themselves and they realize the drug is going to devalue them, don't nobody want to be devalued if they can help it. That's just my opinion. I don't know how much.
No, that's one. And if they have that support. Because I know a lot of parents nowadays, because they have children young or they try to be hip, they let their child be independent. I don't think you should let a 10 or 11, 12-year-old be independent to some degree. You know, they need that support. You can't just let them go out and do whatever they want, come in whatever they want, because there's temptations out there waiting for them. You can't protect them 24/7, but you can be a support, an adult for them, and talk to them. Not sugarcoat stuff, like let them know this is real life. This is what really happened. And you are important to me, son and daughter, and, you know, things like that. You need that, too.
Mm-hmm. That's very much it. So, yeah, I guess it's so crazy that, you know, we want to help people a whole lot. Well, all we can do is pour a little drop and hope the mixture come out right. You know, hey, this is what I'm offering you. Feel good about this and try to guide them.
Yeah, and like you said, your friends, you know, they show you who you are too. So avoiding those friends that drink sociably or have a habit of drinking and doing drugs. Avoid that favorite atmosphere, that favorite nightclub, you know, that 2-for-1 drinks, having alcohol stashed in the house. Avoid the person who got the cocaine stashed. We just gotta be mindful of our environments, like you say, where we place ourselves.
You know, and can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that you all have been in an environment where people have been doing doing things, may have been extra promiscuous or doing drugs or all these other things, right?